Welcome to the Manifest, Manage, and Multiply Money podcast. I'm Audrey Faust, the Manifesting CFO, and I'm your host. And on this podcast, we are going to hear real conversations from women who have built multi-six-figure, seven-figure, and even multi-seven-figure businesses. We're going to explore the identity shifts, the mindset, and the leadership evolutions that they went through in order to grow a business. You know, the things that nobody talks about, because building wealth isn't only about strategy. It's about the mindset and the woman you have to become in order to do this. Now, let's dive in. Welcome. And today I am so excited to be interviewing multi-six-figure CEO, Ary Doakes. Ary is the founder of The Profit Suite, a CFO agency she built over nearly a decade by combining spreadsheets and the subconscious mind, my two favorite things, to help business owners actually enjoy their growth as their financials accelerate. With over 12 years in accounting, including working inside 7, 8, and even 9-figure companies, Ary brings a blend of financial precision and deep money work to everything she builds. Welcome, Ary. I'm so excited that you're here today.
Thank you, Audrey. I'm so happy to be here. This is going to be so much fun.
We are in similar worlds, so this is going to be a great conversation today. So before we get started, I would love for you to share a little bit in your own words about your business and in the next minute or two, and also what you love most about your business.
Yeah, so we basically run a whole fractional CFO agency for online companies for the most part. Um, and the goal is to help them to not only do the day-to-day, right? We do the bookkeeping and we make sure your taxes are filed and everybody gets paid on payday and everything like that. And making sure that as the business owner, you're not hitting ceilings that you can't get past financially and that you've put in so much hard work to build a great business. And my goal is to help you actually enjoy that. The last thing I want is my business owners waking up at 3 a.m. in a cold sweat because they have no idea what's happening in their finances. And so my job is to help them never do that again, basically.
That's amazing. And you and I both know that is so important and not unusual for CEOs wake up in a cold sweat in the middle of the night if they're not looking at their financial information on a
Yep.
regular basis.
Yep.
So what do you
And
love most about what you do?
my favorite thing personally is when I see business owners kind of like get this sigh of relief of like, okay, like this wasn't so scary. It's not so bad. Even when we've had, problems, I can tackle this. I can come up with a game plan and I can handle this and like keep moving forward. That sigh of relief is like, okay, like we've got this. And that is just being able to help provide that for people just makes my day.
Awesome. I love that. So you started Badass Budget Babe in 2017 and grew it into a full agency. And then you rebranded when it no longer fit. So
Yes.
what was the whole evolution from the inside? And
Yeah.
what were you really chasing?
So with Badass Budget Babe, I was very much like, we're going to be spunky and like money is so fun and it's sexy and it's cool. And like, it doesn't have to be, boring. I had come from a traditional accounting background. So like cubicle, fluorescent lights, pantsuits, and like, it was not for me. And so starting Badass Budget Babe, I was like, we're going to be like, money's hot. Okay. Like we're going to be hot girls with it. And my real goal at that point, and obviously I was still trying to figure out how to own a business myself. So helping people with their first 10K months and, getting to that first like multi-six-figure space. I was doing a lot of the mindset work, a lot of the personal development that came with it. But at 10K a month, which is like most business owners, like first big goal is like, I'm going to hit 10K a month. I'm
Right.
finally making six figures after taxes. But there's not really that much to count. Like I know that 10K is a
Yeah.
lot for a lot of people, but as an accountant, it's kind of like,
Right.
there's only so much we can do. And so as my business grew, I started getting behind bigger and bigger business owners as well, with more revenue. And so in 2023, I was working with a lot of men. So the whole like spunky, like we're so cute thing kind of fell flat. And was working with bigger businesses that needed a more like full suite team. It couldn't just be
Right.
me and the business owner anymore. It was the COO and the whole team. And so now I needed to basically fractionalize the entire accounting department. And so then we pivoted and became the profit suite, still offered most of the same services, but now doing it in a way that more um, kind of gave space for larger businesses to feel like we could be the right fit. And, of whether you're wanted to be like a cute lifestyle business or you wanted to build an entire, multi nine figure empire, like, great, we can help you with both. And it's been a great transition, I would say. Overall, that was the right choice. And it really opened the door to a lot of conversations that I don't know would have happened prior to. Not everybody likes their accountant to be like, I'm a badass. Like, so
Right. I get it. I get it. Some people have that persona of who we are, right? So, um, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
yeah.
And you and I had a conversation beforehand, and we had something very in common that I want to talk about with our listeners that people might not know about me, but we had a very similar pivot in our business. So I just want to be transparent with to the listeners for a moment, and because you and I were actually share a very similar story, and I think what you're describing is something that's really rare and rarely talked about, honestly, on a platform like this, which is a pivot. So you can have a very successful business, which you and I both did. The numbers can look great. The money's coming in. It feels nice and secure. You're doing awesome. And then all of a sudden, you get this pull in a different direction. And you have to make a hard decision that's not always financially easy, right? And
Yeah.
being from the world you and I both come in, that pivot's even harder. And
Yeah.
it can be lonely, right? And people can say, our family, our friends, why would you do that, right? So, what has that been like for you in pivoting? I would love for you to share your story.
Yeah. So, let's see where to start. I think, well, to answer the question, right? Like, how has pivoting been? Because I've done like an additional pivot in the last 2 years. It's been scary. So I actually sold a large portion of the company because I was like, one of the downsides of having scaled was that I was no longer primarily working on the mindset things, which I know, Audrey, like you said, you made kind of a very
Yes.
similar pivot of like, I know that this is like my zone of genius. And I think in my attempt to scale and really in my attempt to have a whole team, because it was like, well, this is my zone of genius. I have no idea how to teach you how to be really good at this. Like I can teach you spreadsheets, I could teach you QuickBooks, I could teach you the bolts and, the nuts and bolts, but I didn't know how to pass this on to my team and how to not be the bottleneck anymore. Um, and so kind of the mindset and the subconscious work started to become an add-on to
Right.
here's the accounting as we got bigger and bigger. And that was really hard for me because I felt then out of alignment. So anyway, so 2025, I decided I was going to sell my company, or like a portion of it so that I could try to move in back into the subconscious realm. And it's been different than I thought it would. It has not gone
In
as
what way?
smoothly. Definitely I've had friends and family definitely be like, "Why did you do that?" Like,
Yeah.
that is, like you built something great. Why would you want to let it go? Why would you want to change? I think I have felt out of practice of like there's an element that felt like it was so easy at the beginning because I was nobody. Like, what did I have to lose? And then all of a sudden it was now I've got a reputation and people know me a certain way. And how do I start to break out of that mold of who I have become, who I told everybody that I was, and now I want
Right.
to be something different publicly. And so I've really had to wrestle with my identity. I think so much of the
And
like,
share some wrestling stories of with your identity, because I went through the exact same thing. And as we talked about, CFOs, accountants are perceived in a certain way. And when I finally let go of my accounting agency and became the manifesting CFO, I'm like waiting for people to like call me out, right? So like
yes.
how like who the hell does she think she is? And guess what? I got nothing. I got people supporting it. So please share with me like your experience around that.
Yeah, I think you're right. Nobody in the industry has like called me out at all or like had
Yeah.
anything negative to say. It's all people that like know me personally, because then it has been that shift. Um, I think financially that has been one of the big things that I've wrestled with of like, um, I let go of, let's say, 80% of my clientele, right?
Yeah.
And so now all of a sudden this identity of like, okay, have all the years of experience, right? I've got over a decade of experience, but all of a sudden now I'm the money person who's going to help you with your money, but I'm not making as much money as I'm telling you I can help you make. Like I've made it before,
Ooh.
but like I'm not making it now. I just let go of 80% of it. So I'm just,
That's
making enough to do what I got to
that's your
do.
own mindset struggle,
Yeah,
right?
my own
We
brain
all
being
have
like,
them.
who do you think you are? I know who you used to be, but who do you think you are now has been probably the biggest struggle. As well as just like and it's been, I think in the wrestling, I am still working on doing, to be super transparent, working on doing a better job at the wrestling. With like, it is better to walk in faith in what I know and what I know to be true. But it's so easy to be like, well, I could just take on another CFO client. Oh, I could just take on one
Yes.
more. Oh, I could rebuild a team. And like that's the easy way, the low hanging fruit. And when it gets hard or gets scary or it's like, what am I doing? Like, why am I still trying to do this? Like, it's so easy to go back to this like very safe, like, I mean, I don't know how much safer of a career I could pick than accounting.
Right.
Like,
Very profitable as well.
profitable and I'm good at it. I'm known for being good at it. Like it's
Yes.
easy. But every second, like having to remind myself every second that I choose that, I am telling myself, I'm telling the universe, I'm telling everybody that I want to come along for the ride. Actually, I'm okay still being that person. And I'm gonna keep choosing that over and over. And I think that is like that's been the hardest wrestling because, like, right, like I've got kids to feed, and I,
Of
I've got,
course.
I've got a mortgage, I've got all, all the grown up things, and so I've really struggled to be most transparent in this last few months, in the last year, of like how many times am I going to keep stepping this way to the new thing that is somewhere. I know it's there, but like when is it there? And like what's the where's my GPS actually taking me versus like, oh, I could just take a step back and be safe. And I've had beautiful people by my side that have like helps me keep taking steps. And also like I have not hit like where I want to be. The gap between where I am and where
Yeah.
I know I'm going is just like seems to just keep going.
It's kind of funny because I totally get you, and we are walking the same paths, and it's just mind blowing that we came across each other, and
I know.
it's so connected like this. So anyway, like thank you for being so vulnerable because I
Yeah.
couldn't have said it any better myself. Like it's exactly the challenges that I've gone through. Like you can
Yeah.
go back to, this other world that didn't light you up. And yes, you're good at it. Yes, you can get clients. Yes, you've built this reputation that is
Mhm.
a shining star, but you keep getting pulled in this other direction. And honestly, we were just talking, I was at a networking event this last weekend, which is where we connected. And I shared a little bit of my story in that networking event. And a woman who has got like multi seven-figure business at this point came up to me and said, I walked away from a seven-figure business and I was exactly in the same place that you
Mm.
are now. So maybe that helps you a little bit. She's going to be on the podcast soon too. But
Good. I can't wait to listen to it. Great.
but yes, that just makes you feel better that someone like did that crazy thing, walked away from all the money and then came out on the other side. Took her longer than she thought, of course, but came out on the other side even better. So
Well, I
so
didn't
thanks
expect
for
that. So
sharing that and thanks for being vulnerable because one of the reasons I love this podcast is because these are the stories that people want to hear because there's probably plenty of other people going through a similar transition as you and I are. And they're like, oh, I don't feel so alone now. So,
yeah. Yeah. And so it is some like, I know a few people who have come on the other side of that kind of transition as well. But there's the like, well, of course you did it. Like I'm seeing
right,
the finished product and obviously you could do that.
right.
So I'm happy to share that I'm in the middle, but y'all just wait. Like finished product will be over there before we know it.
Absolutely. I can't wait. And in this transition, you actually sold your agency and you had issues with that. Can you just talk a little bit about selling your agency and the unfortunate thing that happened and what you learned from that?
Ugh, I'm chocked full of lessons I'm happy to share. So yeah, so I sold a large portion of the agency. So lesson number one, I did 100% seller financing. I wanted to make the deal as easy and seamless as possible. And in my mind, I was like, cool, the monthly payments will be what I need to make this pivot. And so like in my mind, that math made sense. I will never recommend seller financing to anybody ever again without a maybe if I'd had a better contract. So like that if you're gonna do seller financing, your contract needs to be airtight. But and I also think in the future, because I know I will buy and sell more businesses in the future, I really love the mergers and acquisition process. Is no more than probably 40% seller financing. Like I want the majority of the deal done. I don't care how you have to fund it, if you need a loan or an SBA or a phone a friend, whatever. But like I'm not putting because I took 100% of the risk for really
Yes.
very low interest rate as well. And I've learned the lesson. So that would be lesson number one. Lesson number two is don't just trust your buyer or your seller for that matter. When you're in, like, this is a business deal. I think I knew this person. And so there was a level of trust that I relied on. And so I said, these structural things that I would put in place with a stranger, I'm not worried about it with you. And so, and I allowed my heart to kind of make some decisions that my brain maybe wouldn't do with had I not known this person. Um, I think also, I probably should have spent more time. It seemed like the answer to my problems.
Right.
And so I was like, I mean, I think we were 2 weeks from, "Hey, I have this idea. What do you think?" to putting our names on the dotted line. Like, it was a very quick transition. It was a very quick
Oh,
process.
yeah.
It was like, boom, boom, boom. Now we've got a deal. And I should have put more time into it, effort. I should have consulted more people because I know I undercharged so it would go through. I made it very easy because I wanted that deal to go through so that I had the space to make my pivot. And so I think the lesson there is I pretty headstrong and I'm pretty like I've made a decision and therefore it's going to happen, and I have watched countless times as the universe or God or whatever you want to call it has just like moved things into a way to like make the thing happen just because I'm like things want to align. Still take time and still think about it and consult about it and like go through a process. Like decision making is a process. And that was a huge life decision that I did kind of, I won't say on a whim, but like I was like, this is what I want. Here's the alignment. Boom, it happened. And like I said, just extra, just take a pause. If it's meant to happen, it will
Right.
happen in 4 weeks instead of 2 weeks. It's okay to take that extra
2 weeks
time.
is fast.
What's meant for you is meant for you. Yeah, it was very fast. I was like, which, we're both accountants, so a lot of times in a deal, the due diligence is what takes so long, and because the
Right.
owner doesn't always know what they're doing, but I'm like, "Here's my books, here's my numbers. What do you think?" She's like, "That's great. Let's do it." So, it
And
was
you bring up a
mhm.
good point, like, even though you knew each other and you were kind of friends, similar things happen in partnerships too,
Oh, yeah.
where people not just selling the business, but their partnership, they think, "Oh,
Yes.
I don't need all this
Yep.
paperwork and rules and things." I've seen it. You've probably seen it in partnerships too. Not many partnerships work out. I can from my experience, that's
They
what
don't.
I've seen. But if you really have everything spelled out clearly, I think that's your best chance in having them work out versus the lines being clouded and, especially
100%.
if you're friends or
Yeah.
colleagues.
I think
So,
what I think now, especially, and I have had partnership discussions where it was like, same thing. We're talking and I'm like, "Oh my god, this sounds so great. We're gonna be besties forever." And then like was smart and went back and consulted and they were like, "Why would you do this? This is so terrible. Do not make this deal." And I listened, right? And I can see how that was beneficial. I also think like if you truly care about the person you want to go into business with or do deals with, like having having those boundaries, having that clarity, like, is
yeah,
actually a sign of love and trust, where I think I've always taken as, like, because I trust you, we can negate these things, but it's, like, because I care about the relationship, I would never want us to be having a miscommunication later that we could have cleared up front, and now all of a sudden our relationship is gone, and I understand that lesson as well now of, like, yeah, like our relationship is gone. And had we been more clear, had we taken more time, had we slowed the roll down, maybe we wouldn't, be in this situation. So,
right.
um, yeah, it's okay to go slow. If it's for you, it doesn't have to happen in 5 seconds. That's not how you know it is for you. That is a way to know and have a process. Let people help you with their process. So,
I love that advice. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's,
of course.
it's almost like they say, hire slow, fire fast, right? It's
Yeah.
a similar type of thing. Sell slow.
Sell slow. Think of it like a relationship, right? Like I'm not marrying the first guy that takes me on a date. Like it's
Yes.
fine. We're gonna go on several dates and we're gonna get to know each other. It's better. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah.
Now you're rebuilding without a team. Is that correct? And what does that chapter look like now?
Yeah. So I have a very small team. I've got two contractors. So just like, enough to help. Um I think right now my game plan is to rebuild to a certain point, train the team up to like be basically like the management, like you guys kind of do everything. I just get to be the owner. And so taking maybe the next year or so to really solidify that at a certain income level um, and skill set level, and then kind of re-pivot again is what, like, if you ask me right now, I could wake up tomorrow and be like, this is stupid. I just want to go do my own thing. Think after, I kind of just needed to take a beat and regroup. And like I said at the beginning, like that is the low hanging fruit and it is something that's easy um, because I have a great reputation and the Profit Suite has been such a blessing to so many companies. And so, yeah, that's kind of what I'm working on right now. rebuilding. We are actively taking on accounting clients and just everything from like simple bookkeeping or like a bookkeeping cleanup for, gosh, I've got a couple people who are like, I haven't filed my taxes since 2017. And I'm like, okay, we're going to fix that. So, everything from there up to the kind of like CFO level, not quite as big as we used to because most of that CFO side does fall on me. And so I personally, can only take on so many clients at a time. So yeah, rebuilding, I think it's a good idea. In my prayer over the business, I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do now? There's this element of like restoration to becoming of
Mhm.
like, I can rebuild this in a different energy and I can rebuild this different than what I had before, so that it's something that I can be something sustainable without me in the future. And I think with the original Profit Suite, it was so much on my shoulders, so much started from like me being really good at this and then adding people to help me versus like me rebuilding something that is like structured from the beginning. I'm a great accountant, terrible operations person, for example. So different systems in the business. Where can everybody find everything? If you have a team in the original Profit Suite, it was like it was all in my head. And so then I would
Oh,
consistently be the
yeah.
bottleneck, for example. I know that now. And I'm like, great, let's write things down from the beginning. And we've got SOPs for each person, and we've got a ClickUp channel and like everything like that. So, regardless of if it's me doing it or it's somebody else, like that's available. And I can create that from the jump now instead of having, 25 clients to try to set up systems while we're also, keeping up with the day to day was always too big
Right.
of a project for me to ever feel good about. So I think there's going to be a lot. I think restoration is the word that I keep hearing of just like this will be restored to something that is better than what you had before. And so I don't feel discouraged about kind of like rebuilding this. I know it's for a season and that I'm gonna just like keep going and that it will be something so wonderful when this season is over. And I'm excited to see whatever that ends up being.
That's beautiful. I love that you're rebuilding in a better way. So you're not just rebuilding, you're rebuilding in a better way that's going to better serve you and
Yeah.
how you want to be in your business. So
Yeah.
that's amazing. So congrats for doing that. I love to ask the question, was there and you and I are both CFOs and I can actually say yes to this question myself. Was there ever a time in your life or your business where you were what I call financially, you weren't looking at your numbers because of you felt shame or fear around them?
Yes. Not so much in the business, I guess, but prior to starting the business, like I had run up some
Okay.
credit debt in like early or like college and like my early career years. And so then once like student loans started becoming due and my student loans were like 60% of my take home pay. Like it was ridiculous. And so I was like, well, what's the point? I actually started looking at my credit card debt as like, who cares if I go out on Friday night and like buy drinks for everybody or if I buy this concert or this plane ticket? Who cares? I'm in so much debt from the student loans anyways. It's all the same.
Mm,
And I started to treat my finances that way. Um and I would not recommend that. It does matter. Spent a lot of years kind of like working to clean that up because why does credit card interest accrue like that? I don't understand it.
thanks for sharing that. I mean, I love that even as accountants, like I went through, I did my pivot. I knew things weren't where I wanted them to be. I was still spending like I had the business that I pivoted from, and I knew things were bad in
Yeah.
my QuickBooks. So I was like, well, I'm just not going to look.
I didn't even
So,
know they're
but
bad. They're there to look at. Looking at is how you're gonna get
right.
better.
And I for the first time in my life, I finally realized why women how they felt about looking at their financial information. I never really understood, well, why aren't they looking? I was like, "Oh, this is the universe teaching me why they're not looking." because there's all this fear and shame that we put
Yeah.
around our success or lack thereof, or what we think is lack thereof, because we can be successful and it doesn't have to add up to a dollar amount.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
anyway, it gave me a very clear view of why women sometimes aren't looking at their financial information. And, your story is similar. Like, I knew there was a lot of debt there, so why keep looking at it? So,
It
like,
makes me
even
sad, so
exactly. So, even as, CFOs and accounting professionals, there's moments in our life where we're there, and it made me a lot more compassionate around the other women and why they're not looking. And
yeah.
it's usually the subconscious mind that's telling them a story that um, they don't want to hear. Awesome. So, do you have a free gift for our audience that you would like to talk about?
I do. And honestly, I don't know if you did this on purpose, but that last question actually ties right into it because this is the thing. I didn't think so. I was like, I don't feel like we talked about this. This was actually the thing that like changed my relationship to money and that I like moved on starting with this. I had a mentor who she taught money manifestation and mindset and everything like that. And so she was kind of mentoring me prior to me starting my business and she taught me about money dates. And I was like, well, what the heck is that? And so she literally was like, you need to start treating money the way that you would treat someone that you're in a relationship with. And so, and every single week, if you start to cultivate that relationship with your finances, the feeling, the numbers might stay the same. But like we just said, like it's all in your, like so much of it is the subconscious. And so if you can begin to alter the way you feel about your money and the way you feel looking at it, like that is when you now have the mental capacity and the heart space to actually start to change the numbers. And so every single week I would sit down when I had no money, like I would just like sit down at home with like my own cup of coffee and I'd put flowers on the table and like some music. And then as things started to get financially better, I'd like sit on at like a rooftop bar, or, like things like that. Like I basically always tried to make it like, okay, if I had the kind of money that I am hoping to have, what would I be doing with my day today? And so like I used to have a client, for example, she would do hers on a Tuesday morning. She would like take time out of her remote work day and she would go sit at the park because in her richest life, she has the free time to just sit at the park on a Tuesday morning kind of thing, right? And so,
I love
anyways,
that.
so
That's
start doing
amazing.
it like a date, right? And now I'm building a relationship with you, and your brain is going to start to identify this feeling of like, well, every time I sit down on my date, I feel like this about money. So now when I start to check my bank account, I feel like this about money. And like your brain will just start to make those connections. And so my free gift, all I have to say, is like a workbook to walk you through the process of a money date, asking different questions about your income, your expenses, where are you making money? And it feels really freaking good when you make that money versus where are you
Wow.
making money? And you're kind of like, this sucks. Like, yes, I need to make this money and that's useful right now, but like, I don't like it. And then same thing with your expenses. I mean, I remember when I first started doing this, I discovered I was spending like an obscene amount of money on clothing. I moved into like my first apartment and like I was working 3 jobs and I literally couldn't even afford furniture. Like my parents had to go buy me furniture at Goodwill because I was like, I don't know. I guess it's all in my closet. Like I don't and I couldn't tell you, like, I did not have that much of a fashion sense to be like buying clothes all the time. But in doing these dates, it was like, oh, I feel really sad. I go shopping. I feel really good. I go
Mhm.
shopping. I like my
Retail
shopping
therapy.
habit is it's just my feelings. So it kind of
Yes.
builds all
It's
these
just
things
like
up and I
eating, right? Emotional eating, emotional
emotional
shopping.
eating, yes. And so after doing them just like week after week, consistently showing up for this relationship, um, my relationship then began to change. Same as if you're dating somebody, right? Like you want to go 6 months without talking to them. You want to, does your heart start beating really fast every time you see their name on the phone screen? It's probably not a great relationship. And if you want that relationship, then you need to like work at it. And so, yeah, so it's a little workbook that will walk you through it. You can just like make a copy of it. It's a Google Doc. So just make a copy every week to like get a new like format, and then just watch your weeks change. Going back 6 months later to like week number one and all the thoughts and feelings, and then looking back and you're like, wow, like I'm not the same person. And like I can guarantee
Oh, so it's
money back guarantee. I know it's a free gift, but money back guarantee your bank account will look different if you do this consistently.
so this workbook is more about your thoughts, not about creating like a budget. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Or
So
is
like
it
there's
both?
it is like write down how much did you make this week? How much did you spend this week? Like we do want to track those
Okay.
specifics, but like how did you feel about your spending this week? Where, what
Okay.
are three things you bought this week that like you actually didn't really want them? What are three things you bought this week that you loved? Like that kind of thing, because you're gonna start to be able to
I
identify these
love that.
patterns. It's great. It's highly recommend.
I love that. And I love the philosophy of going on a money date. Like actually going on a date. Like I
Yes.
inside my money manifestation accelerator, we have a monthly money date where I'll do a little exercise, and then sometimes it's just accountability for you to like
Hmm.
go and look at your money information. I have a little exercise. Sometimes it's called plug the leaks, where you actually go look at your credit cards and try to find something that shouldn't be on there. So
Yeah.
there's all these little things but I love how you're like, oh, well, go to the park, or maybe you go to Starbucks, or maybe you go, somewhere else that make actually pleasure bundles like
Yes.
your money date. So it's not like I'm sitting in my office looking at my
Yeah.
spreadsheets. I'm actually going out somewhere and taking my computer or whatever and
Yeah.
adding a little fun thing to it. So I love that. Thank you for sharing that, Mary.
Of
That
course.
is
My pleasure.
fabulous. So, and where can people find you? Please let the audience know if they want to reach out to you. Where's the best place to find you?
I would say Instagram, the handle. So there is a like official the Profit Suite account, but if you want to talk to me, which please talk to me, I love to talk to people. You can still find me at Badass Budget Babe on Instagram, and that would be the best place to find me.
Great. Thank you. So, one last question I ask everybody. If you could speak to a woman standing on the edge of her next level, what would you want her to know?
I would want her to know that it is worth it. It doesn't matter how it feels right now. Like it is worth it. Keep going.
Mm, I love that. It's my favorite question when I ask that
It's a good
because everybody has a different answer and they're always great and they're always deep. So, thanks for sharing that.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me, Audrey. This is like the
You're
highlight of my
welcome, and I just loved our conversation today.
Thank you for listening to the Manifest, Manage, and Multiply Money podcast. If this conversation resonated with you, please share it with another woman who's building something meaningful. And if you are enjoying this podcast, I would greatly appreciate it if you left a review. Leaving a review can help more women discover these conversations. And until next time, keep manifesting, managing, and multiplying your money.